The whiteboard app can be found in the unified menu by going from the left to the right on the bottom of the screen. When you open the unified menu, click on the whiteboard app and it will open up the latest whiteboard that you were working at. By using the menu bar on the left hand side of the screen, you can access a range of tools, including the three dots at the top, which will allow you to access the new or open menu for your flip charts. By going to change tool position or toolbar position, you can move the toolbar from the left or the right hand side. We can also open up a new flip chart or open up an existing flip chart by clicking on open. We can use the grids option to go through the grids. By clicking on the circles, we can change the color of the page. By clicking on the types of grids, there are 8 to choose from. We can change the grids on the page. And by clicking on little rectangles, we can change the color of the lines in those grids. In this case, we've gone through all of the grid types and back to a blank page. By using a pen or a finger, you can draw on the panel just with the pen option. We can tap on the pen option twice to open up different thicknesses of pen, and we can obviously use the different colors as well to write in a different color. We can use the rubber to rub out various pen markings. If we want to rub out the entire page, we press the wipe button, which is just below the arrow or the rubber button there. There's also an undo and a redo button at the bottom of the menu. If, whenever you are writing certain things out, you want to highlight certain objects, you can do that. We can also use the pen tool to specifically choose parts of text. So I've written out the word seesaw and I've chosen the arrow tool. The arrow tool allows me to grab certain objects, including text. I can resize the text, I can move it around, I can tilt it. Now if I write the same word out again, but I have a small gap between where I write see and saw in terms of the amount of time I take to write it, I will actually be able to do 2 separate text entries. And we do that by pausing slightly whenever we're actually writing it. This can be done to write various different entries and have them separated. If I want to specifically highlight things, I can use my highlighter. By using the highlighter, I can go ahead and highlight things whenever I want to grab. I can change the colour of what I'm writing with. In this case, I've chosen a light blue colour. And I can also use the maths tools as well. These are just at the bottom of the entry there for a ruler, a set square, a protractor, and a full protractor. If we choose the ruler, we can change the size of the ruler by dragging on it. Grabbing each of the ends will make it bigger or smaller, and touching the ruler in the middle will allow us to move it around. If we want to rule, we just slide our finger along the top of the ruler where you would rule with a pencil. As you can see, I've set out a bit of a grid here. I've got my protractor option open now. To make it bigger, I pinch and zoom the same way I would on an iPad, and I can tilt it by moving my fingers from left to right. When I want to make a mark on it, I mark on it the same way I would with a pen or a pencil by using my finger. What's interesting about these is anything markings I do make can be moved around. So in this case, I've got an angle, and I can compare the size of the angle to the other angles in this diagram by comparing with opposite angles. Are they equal or are they different? I can get rid of the whole thing by using the clear screen button, and I can undo that as well. The split screen button is just below the save button on the menu bar. It splits the screen in half and allows me to have numerous people working on the panel at the same time. They could be working collaboratively or could working against each other. We can have different colours, and we can also use the wipe button to only wipe one part of the screen at a time. We can insert a range of images from our flip chart templates, which is again just above the arrow tool. As you can see, I've put in a number square here by tapping on it, and I can move that around using my arrow tool. I could make a number square here with a counter that I can use to move around, and I do that by using a highlighter and drawing a small circle. We can get rid of anything that we want by tapping on it and pressing the little bin to get rid of it. Using the gallery, we can also access things that we've saved directly to our panel. And this is a good opportunity to talk about PNG images. So what I've put on is a JPEG, which is a regular picture that I've saved from the internet and put it onto my panel. I'm now going to put on a PNG, and a PNG, as you can see, is an image with no background. So it stands out really well on backgrounds that aren't white. So if I was trying to do a lesson on, say, boats, or a bit of a narrative on how a boat moves along a river, I could draw my river out, and I could add in a picture from my gallery by tapping on it, which I can then resize and move around the page. And because it's a PNG, there's no big white background around it, it is just the image. What I can do also is if I'm an arrow tool and I scroll at any point of the screen, you'll see that I actually have an infinite canvas. One of the most useful things about the Whiteboard app is how I can use it to integrate with the unified menu and how the rest of the panel's operating system works. I've clicked on my locker and I've clicked on the Chrome app. And through Chrome, I'm going to access a web page. In this case, I'm going to go to YouTube, and I've searched for a video on Costa Rica. I want to use this in my whiteboard lesson. So I use my unified menu and I click on the Annotate tool, which is the red icon. This brings up a pink floating bar that I can grab and move around the page. Now, as you can see, I've got the pen chosen at the moment, and what I'm able to do there is I can pause the video and I can write on the screen. This allows me to interact with media in a way that I wasn't able to do before. I could note down some of the animals that I've seen so far, and then I could continue the video on without you losing my actual content. If on my menu I click on the eye, a wee line comes across the eye, and when that happens, I'm able to actually interact with what's below the surface. In this case, I can unpause the video and then repause the video. I click on the eye again, and the eye is now visible, and I can see my work. This allows me the ability to pause and unpause and move across video content. Now I want to keep this content including the video. Open my unified menu, I click on the screen capture button, which is the light blue button, and it brings up this screen. It allows me to crop my image, and I can even choose the area I want, click on open in whiteboard, and it automatically opens up in my whiteboard, allowing me to change it, edit it, even add on extra words or writing or images of my own. In this way, I can interact with any form of media external to my whiteboard software.